So today we're going to do a multi-display upgrade. So all of them look a little different, but the same basic scenario remains the same. Sometimes it's just a frame, it might be your battery tray. That was a bad call. But all the fronts look the same as far as displays go. Maybe some of the back might differ. But all of them are going to have this plate. This is corroded, by the way. So if you see this type of thing on your battery tray, that's not a good thing. And generally, we actually don't really even encourage that you put batteries in there in the service department. But that's at your discretion. It's really just to keep your historical rainfall data. But anyways, so first thing we're going to do is actually pull off this back panel. And it's just with these 4 screws right here. It's going to be done with a pH 0. You can do it with a pH 1 as well. I'm using an impact driver. That is not the best of all options when you are putting them back in. The specific one might be a better call. These feel like they've already been stripped, so be as cautious as possible. So this is essentially going to come right off. Careful, because I'm going to intentionally do this, but you can accidentally do this and make it kind of awkward. But I'm going to pull this battery tray right off. I'm going to install a new one later on. We use, for the newer ones, we have an adhesive that comes off pretty easily when you try and get it off, but still obviously keeps the product in place pretty well. With the old ones though, we used this material that was essentially made for car repairs, so it sticks on very, very well, more so than you would like it to sometimes. So there's the cover, there's the 4 screws, so we don't want to lose anything. This is your wood frame. Careful, anything you put it face down on, you run the risk of scratching. Same thing with your face. That is the most probably important thing for most people, so I like to place it on top of the wood frame. I turn the wood frame over. It's at your discretion. And then we've got a 1/4 inch nut driver. We're going to pull these 4 lock nuts off. So they're basically in the same spot that the screws were of sorts, 4 corners of the products. Forgive me, I think I might have glossed over unclipping the battery tray. So, tray that I just ripped off. So it goes with that little bump facing up. Needs to be facing this clip. So that's how it goes on. That's how it comes off. And most of the clips, it's hold by the white piece, wiggle gently, and pull. It's almost every clip that goes onto the Mark III at all. And obviously, same with that. So I have all 4 of them off. All it is just the screw heads facing, basically. Or not heads, but... And then I'm going to pull off this ribbon cable. And same thing, I'm just wiggling and gently applying pressure away from it. Then we can take the face off. As you saw earlier, these little standoffs, spacers, will actually fall right off. There's nothing holding them on aside from this and those lock nuts. So just careful with that. And so this is the piece that we're going to change. So I have a tool that I would use normally, but the thing is, you guys aren't going to have this tool, so it's not really fair. So I'm going to show you how you probably should do it when you get it home. So there's a small space right in there. You probably can't see it too well, and I have no clue how well that's actually being viewed through the camera, so forgive me. But both sides, and so I'm going to use both sides. I'm going to use a really thin headed flathead screwdriver. I'm just gonna push it in a little bit. I'm putting barely any pressure, letting it go as far in as it will go, and then just down a little. Same thing on the other side. As far in as it will go, down a little. And I'm trying, obviously, to be mindful of the other components on here. It's a little capacitor on this side, C11. I'm trying not to break. And it comes up reasonably easy. Some are going to be easier than others. But more so being mindful of it, so you can realize how careful you have to be when you place it back in. You have to get all these legs into each one of these holes. And so it's real easy to think you got everything in, and essentially, you know, 2 of these legs are folded under like that, and you think you have them in, but you don't. So be very careful. That's the one we are not using anymore. This is my discard file. And so, as we look at this, we want the actual chip to mimic this. So if you can see it, the chip itself, let's pull it away from the board, has a little half moon here on one side. On the other side, there's nothing. It's just flat. Nice, even, good to go. But this half moon, it also has a little dot in the corner. That needs to line up to this little indentation. As you can see, this side is entirely flat. That has a little indent. So you want them to match up. Now the only problem is, a lot of times when you get these, you can tell that's not straight down. So what I like to do is take my finger right in the middle. You might need to do this, but you have to be very gentle, very mindful. And I just kind of place it against a flat item and kind of roll it a little bit. So I can kind of flatten out those legs and kind of make it more like a 90-degree angle, basically, as opposed to wider than that. I do that to both sides, and I look straight down the middle, eyeball it a little bit. Sorry, allergies. And so as I do that, we'll look at it and see how it just sits on top. It looks like it could use a little bit more. The other tricky part about this is you kind of need all of them to go in pretty much at the same time. So yet again, half moon facing the same way this little indent is. And also you can see an outline of a chip right here. It's got that little half moon right there too. And yet again, this side flat. So it looks like it's going to be good. Just kind of trying to be mindful. No, I'm not confident in that, so we're going to do one more sec. Do that one more time. Just taking a peek, making sure everything's pretty much even. And it is. And see, actually I can feel it just kind of sink right in there. So at this point, I want to be watching this as I do it. Sorry, my big head's probably in the way a couple times. So I just want to make sure, obviously, that everything's situated and good to go. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it, and I'm going to use my thumb right in the center of that chip. I'm just going to push it down. And it doesn't always want to go down evenly, but as long as I'm not folding any of the legs under, I'm okay with it. So then at that point, just to make life easier, place it in as I would. I'm just going to reassemble it the same. So this goes face down. Obviously you're lining it up, or you can see that it goes there because the display pieces would actually line up to where the holes in the window are. So then you're going to go ahead and just attach this ribbon cable. And then from there, it's really simple. You're just going to do the lock nuts back on there. And then it's all a cakewalk. So what I like to do is actually do these lock nuts, kind of hand tighten them. I leave it to the point where I start to feel a reasonable sum of friction. And as you can see, I can still move this around. like to do, did I put a lock nut in the wrong spot? I think I might have. Let's get one from you. This is what happens when you don't pay attention to where you put things down. So I just want to kind of hold this in place, not like that because that was horribly done, and make sure that the lights are going to be basically at the same angle, so they're in the center of the actual windows for them. And that's where I'm just going to hold it, kind of firmly tighten these up, and I do it like I would maybe a tire. So I'm going to go kind of a star rotation on it. And I just kind of did that incorrectly, but you know what I'm saying. But basically, if I tighten one side too much, it's going to pull it. So that's what I'm kind of concerned about and what I'm looking to avoid. I'll put this battery tray on later. But at this point, obviously this hole needs to match RJ11. Then make sure the holes line up, which they should. Sometimes what will happen is you'll do this. Well, they don't line up. The hole's down here, and it's just simply you reversed how it should have been in your frame. Make sure it's all good. Make sure I'm happy with everything. Yep. Make sure it's compact. Okay. And sorry about this video being so long. Just trying to get you through this whole scenario. You don't want to tighten this down too much. You do want a little bit of airflow in between. You can over tighten it and over drill it, so just be mindful of that, please. Should be good to go. Obviously this one needs to be cleaned a little, but that's basically what it should be. Actually over tighten this one a little bit. Should be a little gap in between. I said everything should line up, and your battery tray should be right in here. This should snug right up to the edge of your battery tray. And that is how you upgrade your multi. Thanks.